What's up guys, it's Azarin here, and CEO's eyebrow trimmer is as viable as Mega Kangaskhan and Uber's, but we already knew that shit. And we're back here. Video's a little bit late, but you know, better late than never. It's going to be another episode of a Monotype type talk, and the lucky type for this week is going to be fighting. I mean, for some people that's kind of meh, but you know, since fighting is near the bottom of the barrel, honestly. It's one of the worst typings in Sun and Moon to have, but I still think it's fun. It was a beast in Oras. It was really good in Oras. Black and White, it was really good too, but like, cause I mean, it was just straight up hyper offense. That's the way you run fighting. It's literally 6 hard hitters, balls to the wall, and like you either win in 15 turns or you lose in 15 turns. That's basically how fighting mono operates. So now let's look at the mons here. S rank here, we got Keldeo and Terrakion. Absolutely agree. Both of them are essential. You'll see, and we'll talk about the sets later. A rank, Breloom, Buzzwole, Cobalion, Heracross, Infernape, and Mega Heracross. I agree with all of these except for Mega Heracross. Like, the thing about fighting, like I said, it's hyper offensive, so honestly you're not really needing bulk in exchange for a Mega, especially since there are better Megas. And what's not listed on this list is probably Mega Gallade, and I would probably put that at A rank. A rank Mega Gallade, now that Mega Gallade is inserted into the meta, so we'll talk about that too. And then B rank, honestly, out of the mons left, B rank and below, Komomo and Hawlucha have niches, but they're the only things you're going to see B rank and below, quite honestly. So that's what we're going to talk about. So let's go ahead and get it started. So, first and foremost, we've got our man here, Keldeo, young pony over here, our young pony Keldeo. Basically, you're going to run 2 sets. Actually, not really 2 sets. Mostly you're going to see choice specs or subcom mine, like subcom mine with leftovers. Max, it's pretty simple. Choice specs set consists of Scald, Hydro Pump, Secret Sword, Icy Wind, Hidden Power Bug, sometimes Hidden Power Electric for Gyarados / Toxapex, I guess. It's pretty simple. And then subcom mine, once again, it can put in work actually against fatter teams like Vincoon annoying water, because like I said, fighting is hyper offense, and like bulky builds such as like Vincoon Toxapex Water Core honestly are really annoying to it. Actually not really, because of the 4th mon in the back, but we're going to discuss that later. But you know, for most offenses, Keldeo's either subcom mine or basically specs. Terrakion is the primary scarfer, because Terrakion as a scarfer literally invalidates so many types. It basically takes fire out of the game. It basically takes ice out of the game. It takes normal out of the game. It takes what else? Fire, ice, normal. I'm missing one more. Bug-ish when Fortress is gone. The Choice Scarf set is really nice for those types in general. So we've got Stone Edge, usually. Obviously, close combat is our physical hitting attack. We have Earthquake. Other options are Iron Head, Poison Jab, depending on what you like. If you want to get like neutral damage on Azumarill versus not allowing Steel types to get initiative when they switch in on a Poison Jab. So I think it's a preference there. Personally, if it's a choice between Iron Head or Poison Jab, I would stick with Iron Head because it can flinch. Other weird sets on Terrakion, I mean, not really weird, but Choice Band. Like, you lure the Scarf in, and then you switch in like a Skarmory, and then it takes a fuckload from close combat, which is actually good. So, treating Terrakion as a lure, but actually being the banded mon of your team is an interesting thing. I've seen like Scarf Rocks, I've seen Double Dance, but those two are a lot less common. So you're really basically going to see Scarf and Band. And once again, it's max for the most part. So those are 2 S rank mons. On most fighting teams, so those are the structure of your 2 offensive mons. Like, that's your offensive core per se. And now, you've got your lead basically. Each fighting mono usually has one of these two leads, Cobalion and Infernape. They do both the same thing because they both have 108 speed, but the difference is Infernape applies a little bit more pressure, a little bit more offensive pressure, and has access to Mach Punch. But both Cobalion and Infernape get Stealth Rocks, which is the only thing that fighting needs so that, you know, sashes don't stop its hyper offensive flow for the most part. So for Infernape, we've got Taunt, Mach Punch, Stealth Rock. You can see mixed sets Overheat. Some people run Endeavor. Like, most of the time you are going to see a lead Infernape of sorts. It's really seldom that you're going to find an offensive Infernape per se, like fully invested offensively. The main job of Infernape / Cobalion is to stop the opponent from getting up hazards while you get up your own. Same thing with Cobalion. The good thing, I like to use Cobalion because it's, I guess, the best defensive backbone you have. Your dragon, this is literally your dragon resist. This is your Lottie resist. Plus, the things that Infernape has, right? It has Endeavor, Overheat, Mach Punch, which is just cool. What Cobalion has over it is Thunder Wave, once again Iron Head for Cobalion for some, you know, para-flinching chances. It has Volt Switch too if you really want to gain initiative, but then again Infernape has U-Turn, but you really don't run U-Turn on a lead set Infernape for the most part. So yeah, now in terms of EV spreads, I don't know what people run as EVs, but for me, I run max HP. I run max HP, max speed, because I need max speed to at least get a taunt on a Galvantula, or a taunt on a fighting versus fighting mon, because the thing is, if Galvantula sets up the sticky web, it's not like it's impossible to win, but it makes it a lot harder than without webs. Like, so literally, when you face bug versus fighting, you're literally, it's who wins the speed tie on the taunt versus sticky web, and at that point it's that. Some people like to run leftovers on Cobalion. I like to run Citrus Berry because it turns 2-hit KOs like Fire Blast 2-hit KOs or Earth Power 2-hit KOs from like a Scarf Hydreigon or something like that, or HP Fire Latios. It turns those 2-hit KOs into, it turns the 2-hit KOs into 3-hit KOs often because of the Citrus Berry popping. So I like that a lot. Infernape most of the time runs Sash. Like I said, because it's once again a designated lead, and it's a lot frailer than Cobalion, so you wouldn't really trust it to live compared to Cobalion. So now moving along, we have Breloom, which is a really great mon to combat water. Spore is always nice. 100% sleep move is always amazing. Swords Dance, Bullet Seed, and Mach Punch is a must. So it's up to so it's whether you run SD or Rock Tomb. So that depends on the way you like to play, I guess, and the team members you have. If you have ways to deal with Zard Y, I mean, you have Terrakion, but like, if you want to slow things down, if your team is slower, like if you're running maybe Scarf Heracross or something instead of like Scarf Terrak, then probably you would want to use Rock Tomb, but I don't know. Most of the time it's Focus Sash. I like to run Adamant because the threat of like base 70 mons such as like Bisharp and Volcanion running Jolly are not there anymore. So literally anything you're hitting that's above speed 70 was going to kill you anyway, so you might as well go for the extra damage. So I always run max attack Adamant on my Brelooms nowadays. So now move on to some of the other mons. Mega Gallade. So before Mega Gallade we had Metachamp, so I'll quickly brush up on that later. But Mega Gallade here is going to be our poison killer per se. This is going to be our poison killer. We've got Zen Headbutt, we have Close Combat, Swords Dance. Some people run Shadow Sneak, some people run Knockoff, you know. But the thing is, Mega Gallade is diverse because you don't know. It could be 4 attacks with Ice Punch. Like I said, I personally think SD is your best case scenario because then you can go for a late game sweep. Some people do 4 attacks with Shadow Sneak, but all in all, your EVs are the same. Max attack, max speed, Jolly to at least speed tie with the Latioses or the Lottie twins. Other fighting mons that you can use, Buzzwole. I personally, out of these last 4, forgot to include the Heracross. Out of these last 4, I think Buzzwole is my main preference because for like Scarf Excadrill to like get a hit off or something like that, or Landorus T, which is actually very annoying, especially on flying mono to fighting. Buzzwole is literally your designated switch in because it's so physically bulky on the defensive side, you don't really even need too much investment to take hits. Substitute is great so that when you have those physical attackers who are locked in, you can sub out, you know. Sub focus punch is a thing. You can do sub bulk up. But the crux of your set is definitely leech life, because that's how you get your health back. People can run earthquake. People run poison jab, ice punch, like I said, and then often you would see that Buzzwole is the designated Z mover on a team if it is on there. Like, you're going to guess, because Terrakion, because usually the format is Terrakion, Keldeo, Lead Infernape / Cobalion, that's 3, Breloom makes 4, and then like 2 of these niche Pokemon, and then usually your Mega, aka Gallade or Medicham, back then when Medicham was banned. So I like to run Ground EMZ, Earthquake, that's just me. And your EV spread, sometimes you have to actually, I like to run a little bit of EVs, like I think it's 204 HP and some Spadef, so that Toxapex's Scald never breaks my sub, which is really nice. But other than that, some people run, I've seen Scarf Buzzwole, which is nice for actually Psychic Mono. That's actually not too bad for Psychic Mono, but I feel like Psychic Mono is already tough enough that, and you have ways around it, honestly, with Cobalion and Breloom. So I feel like sub is a better option, but that's just me, you know. Komomo here. Komomo is usually in Fighting Mono. It's 9 times out of 10 seen as a special attacker. Choice Specs. Choice Specs is usually the way to go for Komomo 100%. We've got Clanging Scales, we've got Flash Cannon, we've got Flamethrower, and Focus Blast. That's your four move coverage, in my opinion. Best 4 move coverage. If you're like me and like to use, you know, less viable things, I run a Life Orb Autotomized set, but most of the time you're definitely going to be running modest Komomo with however much speed you like. Max speed, max special attack. Because Specs Clanging Scales / Life Orb Clanging Scales still hits pretty fucking hard. Like, it's nothing to joke at. And it also helps with the Grass matchup, quite honestly. Because Grass doesn't have a lot to take, like, Komomo's coverage. So, because the main thing about Grass, I guess, is Venusaur, and we'll get into that later. So Komomo helps with that. So then we have also here Hawlucha. Hawlucha is a niche pick. I mean, but it's the same thing. It's been doing the same thing that it did in Oras, you know. Substitute, pop the Citrus Berry, Acrobatics, Swords Dance, High Jump Kick. A little less common nowadays with like Klefkis, Magirnas, Tapu Finis, Tapu Bulus running around, and like Celesteela with Protect. But, you know, when those mons are out of the way, it can actually put in a lot of work, and it's a deadly late game sweeper that you have to work around so it doesn't get its unburden boost and then sweep your entire team because of its speed. Usually you do run Adamant, so you actually technically do not, for the extra power, so you do not actually you're not actually able to outspeed base 115 Pokemon or base 110 Pokemon for that matter before the unburden boost. So that's something to watch out for. You're gonna exchange bulk, or I mean you're gonna exchange power for speed. So most people run Adamant. There are some ridiculous lords that run Jolly, but I would advise against that. And finally we have Heracross. Heracross, I would see probably his only viable role on fighting is as a Choice Scarfer once again to deal with Psychic Mono for the most part, like Life Orb Lottie, like defensive Jirachi, defensive Mew, or like Mew before it's set up to double dance, you know, Victini after a -1 V-Crate boost. So Mega Horn, Close Combat, Knockoff, Stone Edge, Earthquake, those are your main coverage moves. You're definitely not going to be running Swarm. It's either Guts or Moxie. Moxie is once again another late game option, you know, late game, get the ball rolling, whittle everything down with your massive offensive threats of your other 5 fighting mons, and then have Heracross clean. Or Guts to be the status absorber from like Will-O-Wisp Sableye, Will-O-Wisp Rotoms, Scald Burns, etc., etc. So with that, those are all the viable mons, I guess, and some of the sets that they would run on a fighting mono. So now we'll take a look at the threats, and we'll brush this over as quickly as we can. Here we go. So for me, I think the one niche that fighting has is it has a really, really easy matchup versus normal. There are not too many monos out there that can actually claim that, which is really good considering how low tier fighting is nowadays to be able to have such an easy matchup versus a high tier. So that's why people would run it for the niche pick, I guess, to counter team somebody who likes to use normal, because normal is one of the top tiers. But that's what you use it for. So some major threats on on normal would be Ditto. So you know, if anything sets up on your fighting mono team, Ditto will copy it right back. Like if he copies the Mega Gallade, the Mega Gallade is gonna claim a soul with Zen Headbutt, etc., etc. Lopunny naturally outspeeds everything on fighting monos, so your only way to like combat it is Scarf Terrakion, Sash Breloom. But then again, if you have a Buzzwole on your team, you could essentially say it walls Lopunny. But then again, you know, Lopunny just chips it down, switches out. You switch out to your counter Chansey, Porygon 2, Bulky Raptor, and then boom. So Lopunny would be a threat. And Porygon 2, the only reason Porygon 2 is a threat is people don't play their fighting monos well, and like they don't chip down the Porygon 2 to the point that Scarf Terrakion is able to clean up, or Scarf Keldeo for the most part. Because I know Scarf Close Combat does around 63, 65, 66%, somewhere around that range. So you have to be mindful of that, you know, the Porygon 2 can carry Thunder Wave, it can carry Discharge, and or it can carry Toxic to mitigate your sweep. Another thing on this list, I guess, for normal is Bulky Raptor, but that's not too much of a problem because it doesn't really take close combats or Stone Edge as well from Terrakion, and then it just gets obliterated by Specs. But yeah, Keldeo honestly just throttles normal. That's like Keldeo plus Terrakion single-handedly throttle normal. The only way you could like normal beats fighting is with webs. And then if there's a webs team out, you often lead with Breloom and kill the Smeargle if it leads off against you. Anyway, another monotype that fighting has a good advantage against is Fire. I mean, there's nothing much quite honestly, there's nothing Fire can do. The best that Fire can do is burn them on, like with a Lava Plume from Torkoal, maybe a Scarf Victini. Like, I put Charizard X here because if, you know, a fighting mono ever lets a Charizard X set up to +2, then you're good. That means Fire beats you. But the thing is, it's hard to get a Charizard to +2. Plus, often Sash Breloom is there to just mitigate the sweep. So, I don't know. I don't really find anything on Fire that can honestly... Oh, I know. Missing Stone Edge from your Terrakion is the only way Fire wins, to be honest. So now, and then we'll move on to Ice. Ice, once again, really not too many options either. Like, Avalugg may have base 180 plus defense, but it's still not taking a close combat to the dome. Your best bet, I guess, is some offensive variant, offensive Life Orb Ninetales with Moonblast, so like knock out most mons, because most mons on fighting are base 108 speed, and Ninetales has the luxury of being a base 109 mon, so it barely outspeeds them and could probably knock them out with a Life Orb boost. But then again, it takes away from Ninetales' purpose on ice teams as being an Aurora Veil setter, but instead it has to go more offensive, so I don't really think that's a viable option either. And finally, I guess the hardest of all the easy matchups would be Dark, and the reason why Dark is hard is because of the combination of Mandibuzz plus Alolan Muck. You have to play your cards right, you know. But then again, one mispredict of a Keldeo Secret Sword versus Scald, like if you predict, you know, the Keldeo to Secret Sword and you bring in and Muck comes in, boom, that Muck is dead. Or if you predict the Keldeo to Secret Sword and you bring in the Mandibuzz and then it actually goes for Hydro Pump, then bam, you know, your Mandibuzz is dead. So Dark is one prediction away. I guess, from losing. The one thing that could, you know, that's tough on Dark is definitely Mega Sableye, I guess. That's tough to deal with. Gallade doesn't really deal with it. The main way to deal with Sableye is Specs Keldeo, Specs Komomo, or Sub Buzzwole. Those are your main three options. But then again, it's gonna be. But if those mons are chipped or whittled down with status, then you're gonna have a hard time with Dark. You know, Sharpedo too, but with Scarf Mons on fighting and priority Mach Punches and stuff like that, with priority moves like Mach Punch, it's not too bad. Other sort of easy matchups, I guess, you could say Dragon, and Dragon only because of the Lati twins, Latios, and the fact that there's a Goodra there that deals with the Keldeo, so like Keldeo plus Goodra plus Garchomp. Oftentimes Dragon will get the rocks up on you. It's hard not to. Plus Scarf Latios puts in a lot of work, so you have to play around Scarf Latios because that's on every single Dragon team. But other than that, Dragon is actually not too bad of a matchup versus fighting. Grass is not that hard. You just have to make sure you save your Mega Gallade or your Specs Komomo so that you can deal with Venusaur. Otherwise, none of your mons are going to be able to break Mega Venusaur. That's just simple as that. Ground is not too bad because Breloom gets a kill every time it comes in. You just have to watch out for sand breaking your sash and bringing it in appropriately. You know, you 9 times out of 10 lead with it versus ground mono because it gets a kill. Mach Punch is good for Excadrill, like especially if you don't have Buzzwole and you don't have anything to take Excadrill's hits. Breloom with Mach Punch in the back is such a great safety net for you, and then you can hit anything else on the switch in, predicting it with Bullet Seed or Spore. Once again, guaranteed sleep is always good. And another threat to fighting would be, you know, Rock Polish, Lando Eye, especially with Extra Sensory or Psychic. That's a threat. So moving right along, so those are some of the sort of easy matchups. So now we'll move on to, I guess, slightly more, like, you know, medium matchup. So water. So we're talking about like different types of water. If we're talking Swift Swim, the cool thing about fighting versus Swift Swim is a very fast-paced game. And, you know, often it starts with a Pelipper setting up rain, and then your Cobalion setting up rocks, taunting so it prevents defogging or U-turns out. And then essentially you probably sack your Cobalion or sack them on. And then you're going to bring in Breloom. And, like, you have a Kingdra usually. Kingdra or, like, a Mega Swampert sitting you right in the face. And then at that point, the water player, the Swift Swim player, has to decide, am I going to break this Breloom sash and then lose my Swift Swimmer? Like, lose one of my Swift Swimming Mons? Like, you know, if there's a Kingdra there, like, if there's a Kingdra versus Breloom and the Breloom sash isn't broken, essentially you're sacrificing the Kingdra just to break the Breloom sash. So you're gonna see if it's worth it. But that, I think, is so much more. It's so much more worth it for fighting because, yeah, I'm rambling right now. Because what's a Draco switch in? Literally, what is a Draco / Hydro Pump switch in on fighting? Nothing. At least on fighting, you do have switches to Mega Swampert, like Buzzwole does tank an Earthquake, even a Waterfall. Keldeo can tank an Earthquake and a Waterfall, like, but Kingdra, I feel like it's a good exchange. And then you have Azu too. You also have to watch out for Azu, you know, with late game Belly Drum. But then again, Bullet Seed eliminates it without fail. You can Spore the Toxapex. You can even SD. And then do a massive damage to the Toxapex. They'll be forced to haze you or go for the Scald Burn. So, I mean, it's not the easiest matchup, but it's definitely not hard, not winnable. So now we get into the more complicated matchups, like Flying. Flying for me is a hit or miss. Like for most Flying players, play safe versus fighting, and the thing is, as a fighting player, you have to be aggressive because it's hyper offense. Scary things on Flying are basically the core of like Scarf Togekiss, Skarmory, and then Zapdos. Usually what you do is you have to get up your rocks with Cobalion and then like lure in the Skarmory to take the rocks damage. Like what I usually do, my game plan versus Flying is usually get up rocks, get my Terrakion in on something like a Mantine or a Zapdos, lure the Skarmory in, double the Keldeo, and then boom, once you get Keldeo in there, it'll be like Keldeo versus Skarmory, and then he's going to have to sack him on to Hydro Pump, or risk the HP Electric from Keldeo if he has a Mantine on his team. So yeah, like you have to be very aggressive versus Flying, but it is winnable. But once again, if a Landorus gets like the double dance started, it's really tough. And if you mispredict with the defensive core of Skarmory and Zapdos, then you're also going to be in trouble. Scarf Togekiss is just annoying because Air Slash flinches, and Dazzling Gleam basically gets the KOs on stuff like Terrakion that can live a hit from Air Slash per se. So it's always tricky what you do with that. What else? What other types are we looking at? Now we're looking at the more difficult matchups. It's funny how Steel is actually a very difficult matchup for fighting, especially if you have a Ferrothorn, because most Keldeos come out choiced, so you do have to predict as the fighting mono player, and it's obviously because of this freaking, you know, bunny here that makes Steel such a difficult matchup, even though it has type advantage. Fighting has a type advantage versus it, because this thing can run Shift Gear. But the scarier set would be honestly Trick Room, because most fighting mons are run pretty fast speed EVs. So a Trick Room set literally obliterates them with Dazzling Gleam. Celesteela once again takes pretty good hits from Terrakion, and Mega Scizor also takes hits. It takes the hits that Terrakion like can dish out, like, because Terrakion is used as the counter attack to Scarf Excadrill and stuff like that, and then you have Celesteela and Scizor as your core that can tank those physical hits. Once again, Keldeo can put in work versus Steel, but with Magearna lying around and potential Ferrothorn, and hell, even you could even claim Empoleon as another like water resist on Steel. It's actually a lot tougher than you think, because literally the way the Steel player wins is the Steel mono whittles you down with the rest of your 5 mons, and then he wins with Magearna late game. That's always how it works. Now I think now we'll get to the pretty hard matchups / the impossible matchups for fighting. I think that the Sableye Mimikyu Gengar matchup is retardedly ridiculous. It's tough because you have to commit like to breaking the Sableye with Specs Keldeo, but the thing is, since once again you're choiced, you know, he can easily switch in his Jellicent. The hard part about fighting is like for more passive teams with Protect, Baneful Bunker and stuff like that, like especially Protect Sableye, it's a lot harder to play because let's say you have Sableye versus Keldeo in, obviously a threat, right? And then you go for a Hydro Pump, Sableye goes for Protect, right? So now the pressure is on you to make the double. The pressure is on you to make the double into, let's say, Breloom on the Jellicent. I guess if you do get that play right, then Breloom does claim a kill. But once again, if you get the play wrong, then let's say Sableye knocks off your choice specs, and then you're not able to KO the Sableye. And with burn nerfs and stuff like that, that sucks for you. Mimikyu is also annoying because it stops the hyper-offensive flow of fighting. It's a nice panic check to where if the Ghost player has misplayed, Mimikyu's ability in disguise, allowing it one free hit with no damage, it literally just resets the sweep over because it can literally kill, you know, most of the mons on fighting with a Z move or Play Rough. It's really annoying. And you have Scarf Gengar, which is often seen on Ghost, which outspeeds all of the Scarf mons. So literally, and what's fighting's Ghost resist? Like, what's fighting's Shadow Ball switch in? Then after Cobalion dies, what's its poison? I mean, Terrakion has a poison resist, but so then we'll talk about it anyway. So what's its rock? Not rock. What's its Ghost resist? Honestly, Scarf Gengar is a massive threat. So this is a really, really tough matchup. And let's not even forget other things that mitigate, like, you know, fighting, such as like Gourgeist, Jellicent I already mentioned, Trick Room Mimikyu, like Trick Room Jellicent. Yeah, and you can even claim that Delmise is a threat because it further weakens Keldeo's ability to threaten your team, because not only does he have Jellicent as a safe switch in, but if you like, I guess, have HP Electric on Keldeo or something, or you just start to sub up, he can just bring in Delmise and like break your sub / like counter you like that. Now we'll get to the last 3 monos. I actually didn't discuss Bug. I forgot to add Bug to this list, but I'm just going to talk about Bug. For me, I think Bug is a little bit like around the same echelon of like Swift Swim, a little bit higher than Swift Swim, Water, Steel. Because the thing about Bug is the only reason it's hard is because you have to whittle the Fortress and mitigate the amount of hazards it gets. Plus, if Bug is running a Galvantula, you have to win the speed tie. You have to win the speed tie so that the Galvantula does not set up webs, and you can click Taunt and prevent it from setting up webs. That is the only tricky thing about Bug. Other than that, Terrakion basically cleans Bug in my opinion. Let's see here. So now we get to the top 3. So did I do this? Yeah, I already did this. My bad. So the top 3 most annoying matchups, definitely, which I did not put on here. I put Ghost, actually, was one of them. But I forgot to mention Fairy, Electric, and Poison. Yeah, Fairy, Electric, and Poison I feel are the 3 most difficult matchups for fighting. Like, honestly, what do you do versus Tapu Koko versus Alolan Raichu? Tapu Koko T-bolts the entire team. Your Electric resist is Breloom. It mitigates Breloom's Spore. And, like, for Scarf Terrakion to put in work, you're going to have to deal with the bulky core of Rotom and Magnezone. I say Magnezone because Magnezone resists Stone Edge. And then Zapdos, which resists Close Combat. So, honestly, it's never going to be winning battle. And then Keldeo on Spadef Zapdos or Rotom, it takes that hit too. So your offensive core is mitigated. Breloom's niche of putting things to bed is minimized with Coco's Electric Terrain. And then you have Raichu as ultimate speed control to outspeed Scarfers. it's like tough. You have to run like cheeky sashes on your fighting mon. You have to run like cheeky sashes on your fighting mons in order for it to win. Yeah, so that's electric. Fairy, pretty self-explanatory. Type advantage, too many threats. But mostly it's Klefki. It's the fucking Klefki that T-waves the speed of the fighting mons, gets up spikes to break sashes, and most importantly, gets up the damn screen so that the fighting mons can't break holes as well as it can. Like, your best shot is honestly to just para-flinch, or not para-flinch, to flinch with Iron Head. And you got Clefable, which usually gets up rocks, guaranteed. Has Babiri Berry, also T-waves like Klefki, but not really. It's just a tough matchup. And then you have Magearna in the back. Literally, if Magearna can turn the Steel matchup versus Fighting matchup upside down on its head, imagine how impossible the matchup is versus Fairy. Like, unless you have running a retarded team, Fairy should also beat Fighting every single time, in my opinion. Toxapex. Toxapex, Crobat, and to a certain extent Venusaur. Crobat literally 1v1s Fighting, because the thing is, Terrakion / Keldeo as a Scarfer is not, like, Toxapex walls both variants of it, like, honestly, because Earthquake's not going to do that much, and if he goes for Earthquake, then you have a free Venusaur / Crobat. But for the rest of the Mons, you can literally EV your Crobat to just outspeed 100, base 115 Mons. Like, literally, that's only 350, so that's only, like, 216, or it's even less if you make the Crobat Jolly. Like, if you make it Jolly, it's literally an investment of... It's literally an investment of, like, 96 EVs, and you can put the rest in HP, defense, or attack. And, you know, Brave Bird, your best Brave Bird switch in is aka Recoil or your Cobalion. That's it. So, on top of Crobat plus the fat core of Toxapex, Venusaur, Walling, all of the main fighting offensive threats, it's just a really tough matchup in general for Fighting. So, I mean, that's a general basis of, like, the threats versus Fighting and what viable Mons there are. So now let's look at a few replays that I have. You know, they're not that good. I haven't found that many. Most of them consist of replays of either me or no matter, because no matter is a great fighting main, and I used to like play Fighting a lot in Oras, and I've tried to make it work in Sun and Moon. So our first replay here was a ULC match, an example of how Magearna breaks this matchup in No Matter versus Escoffier. So we got Escoffier with Celesteela, right? Komomo's gonna do some damage, right? See, alright, so now opens up a door for Scarf Terrakion, sort of, or Keldeo. There you go, Buzzwole's in. Jirachi has the Scarf Heart Stamp, which is absolutely ridiculous. Cobalion here. Heatran, blah blah blah, gets the T-Wave off, Interact, rocks, gets a kill with CC, because you don't know if it's banned or not, doesn't want to risk it. CC, yep, that's Bander. Escoffier, goes for the SD. Probably should have sacked Jirachi there, something like that. Cobalion comes out, but it's Scarf, never mind. Superpower, boom. So that's what the Scizor's putting in work here. Keldeo's in. He doesn't have a switch in for Scald. Like, as I said, this is where Keldeo shines. But now Excadrill comes out, speed control. Good thing No Matter has a Buzzwole. Oh, but it is Scarf. I forgot. Yep, that's Scarf. So down goes the Exca. Into Magearna we go, and this is like, this just shows you can't do anything about it. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do in this situation? It goes for the Skull, does a crispy 36%. T-Bolt, boom. Now you got the ball rolling. You're in under Trick Room. All these Mons have speed on them. It's over. Like, it goes for the CC. This doesn't make sense. The fact that this Gallade won. Oh, he didn't Mega because he could have undersped it. But, like, that's really weird why he underspeeds it. That doesn't make sense why Escoffier's Magearna is EV like that. But anyway, Twinkle Tackle's able to clean this up because he has no Breloom and no priority Mons in order to kill this thing. So literally, he just literally chipped the Mons so that Magearna could win. It wasn't even that hard for him, honestly, because of freaking Magearna. That's why, you know, we gotta suspect that thing, we gotta send that thing to the Shadow Realm. But that's a topic for another time. So, actually, we're going to skip that second replay, and we're going to go back to it if we have time. So now we're going to have another No Matter replay, Psychic versus Psychic, Exo Psychic. Like I said, Psychic is a tough matchup. I don't know if I actually went over Psychic. Did I really miss Psychic? Wow. I don't know if I did when I discussed it. But this is threat, you know, hazards and screens with this motherfucker. Yep. Yep, and it's still faster than Terrakion, or that's Sash. Yeah, light screen, getting the screens up. That's Bander Terrak. In the Cobalion we go. Jackson goes for the taunt. He's gonna switch out in the track. Gonna switch out into Cobalion. I haven't actually seen this replay. Iron Head's here. Iron Heads gets flinches. Cobalion goes for the taunt here as he finally is able to get up his rock. Celebi goes for the Earth Power. Iron Head for a little bit of damage. In a Terrakion, Banded Close Combat does a fuckload. In a Lottie we go, big threat to fighting. He's just gonna sack his Lottie, or I mean, that thing there. So now he's gonna go into Scarf Buzzwole. This is definitely Scarf Buzzwole. It's not Scarf Buzzwole, because that's not Scarf Lottie. So now in a Victini we go. Victini is going to do some damage, some big damage to something. But the Victini goes for the U-turn here. And then he goes out into Mew. Is he going to go for game here? Okay, no he doesn't. Mew just goes for the Genesis Supernova. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, just to kill off the Pummeler, I guess. So Mew's going to go for the Psychic on the Gallade. The Gallade goes for the Trick Room. Okay, this is No Matter's teammates. So that was a Trick Room Gallade back at versus Escoffier. Okay. So now he's gonna sack the Keldeo. So now this he can bring in the Buzzwole. Oh, I see. So then Buzzwole is able to clean up, I guess. Does that Medicham have Fake Out? Does it? Indeed, it does. Oh, but Psychic Terrain is up, so it actually worked against him, the Psychic Terrain, and that's how No Matter was able to take that sweep. So once again, crazy circumstances are the only way that that fighting is able to win. Nice tech on No Matter's part with the Trick Room and plus Buzzwole. I kind of like that. But in other situations, that Trick Room would be completely useless, and the offensive firepower of Breloom or Mega Gallade would be so much better, like against versus like Water Mono. So you know, you win some, you lose some. You can't cover all of the matchups, and especially with fighting, there's a lot of holes in a lot of the matchups. So that's a way to win against Psychic, and now I'm going to show you my battle, which is a way to lose against Psychic, like get beaten down. This was during an MPL Farm League game. This is also back when Mega Medicham was still around. This was just terrible playing. I go for the Fake Out, you know, I know he's going to go for his move. I don't know if he's going to U-turn or not. He goes for the U-turn, goes into Zammer, don't want to lose my Zammer. Psychic, see with the Citrus Berry there, the reason why I like it is it turns 2 AKOs into 3 AKOs. See, now he can't kill me with a Psychic, and he has to rely on Focus Blast, but he's able to hit anyway, but at least I had to make him earn it, I guess. So, goes for the Shadow Ball. I know it's not going to kill me, so I just decided to go straight for an HJK. Goes in Victini here. I go for the, yeah, good play on his part. Go to Victini, Scout for the Bullet Punch. I'm going to go for U-turn, because I know he's not V-creating there. Why would he V-create on a Medicham? I go to Buzzwole. Not Scarf. This one was Scarf. Interesting. So I lose my Scarf, which is actually absolutely terrible, because that actually had a chance. That actually gave me a chance of winning. But now he got up a hazard, so now my Breloom Sash is gone. Like, so I'm gonna sack my Medicham here. Now I'm definitely gonna go into Breloom or Terrakion. That too. Victini. He's gonna sack his Victini. I don't know why I went for the Iron Head there. I honestly don't know why I went for the Iron Head there. Didn't make any sense. Stone Edge was free. Lottie, but now Lottie's a giant threat. Psyshock is going to kill this Buzzwole. I'm going to have to rely on Iron Head flinches, and I'm not going to get it, and that's a good game. So yeah, Latios, Mew, Sash Alakazam, huge threats to fighting. I have another replay here. This is versus Ground. This is versus Ground. This is me versus Ground. I'm gonna lead off with Garchomp. I'm gonna lead off with Medicham. Medicham is just gonna send like a Mon to the Shadow Realm. I know that, and it's even better because this is Rocky Chomp. So now I know that I'm faster, and this is gonna send this thing packing. Goodbye. He's gonna bring an Excadrill. I'm gonna go into the wall. See, this is why I like Buzzwole, because it walls Excadrill, Landorus T bullshit. Like, Buzzwole puts in work this game. Boom, Ice Punch does a fuckload of that. Boom, another Ice Punch. Down goes Lando T. Get my Beast Boost back, so he's gonna go into Mamoswine, probably gonna sack this thing, yeah. So I'm gonna fake out, scout for the Scarf. He doesn't. I don't know what I'm saying now. I'm just rambling. Go for the EQ. Go into Keldeo here on the Skull. So now I have a free Secret Sword. Secret Sword's gonna two-hit KO the Nidoking. So down goes the Mammal there. He's gonna bring in the Nidoking. I'm gonna decide to go for just damage there as he goes for the Sludge Wave. I knew it wasn't gonna kill me, and most Nidokings don't run T-Ball. And at this point, I decide I'm just gonna win with close combat, Scarf close combat, since yeah, Mach Punch. Bullets he's gonna kill, and I didn't even need to rely on Scarf Terrakion on the back. Like, I mean, to be fair, he also didn't have Sand, or like, but still, the pressure of Keldeo plus Breloom, even if he has a Water Resist, like Breloom is there to pressure the rest of his team if Keldeo doesn't do the job, and then if those two don't do the job, you have a backup Speed Control and Terrakion to clean up. But that was in the Mega Medicham meta. And finally, we'll have a matchup versus Flying here. This is Phantom the Ghost versus Horizon player. So he goes in, leads off with Breloom. He goes in Lando. Absolutely not the right play in my opinion. Always lead, like I said. You always need the Rocks pressure. So now, boom. What did you accomplish there? You broke his Sash. He goes into Charizard, which he honestly does not need. Like literally, it's the most useless mon in his team. Skarm comes out, Rock Tomb, yeah, it's Rock Tomb, so you can't even like deal with this Skarmory. On that turn, you could have even doubled the Keldeo since the thing was asleep. But I understand it because Phantom has a Mantine, so he gets up the rocks. Does he have the HP Electric? And he does have the HP Electric, and it's Life Orb Keldeo, which is really interesting. Now he goes into Zapdos. Still has not gotten the rocks. It's up the rocks at turn 6, and now you have a dead Breloom. Like, still no rocks turn 6. No pressure from Phantom the Ghost. Not to break this thing's multi-scale, not to break the Skarmory's sturdy, not to put the Charizard at halfway, not to force a defog from the Zapdos. Like, nothing. No pressure at all. Plus, we'll go for the Ice Punch. See, that would have KO'd. That would have KO'd the Dragonite had you had the rocks up. But no, now you're going to go to Skarmory, take some helmet damage probably. No helmet damage, my bad. Going to Keldeo here, but he's already got the jump on you. Go to Dragonite. That's not going to kill. You're losing health with Life Orb. You're going to go into Kobe here. Goes for the Earthquake, gets a nice Predict on you. And for some reason he's faster, because for some reason this Cobalion doesn't run any speed. Terrakion comes out. Stone Edge. Boom. Like, do you see how much of a threat fighting actually is to Flying with Stone Edge, Terrakion, Specs, Keldeo? If he got, and even the Scarf Buzzwole with Ice Punch, if he just got up rocks, this would be a lot easier, because Phantom the Ghost would have to prioritize defogging. Oh, boom! So he sacked Buzzwole, so now he doesn't really have a good like ground resist per se. So now Skarmory, Stone Edge is gonna miss. It doesn't really matter because Skarmory's Fizz Death, and at this point, it's honestly over. Yeah, see, now he gets up the rocks turn 18. Like, absolutely too little, too late. Absolutely too little, too late. Yeah. Kelly's going for the Icy Wind here. Lando goes for the EQ and is able to knock out Keldeo, and that's a GG. Absolutely GG. Goes for the Stone Edge, does not get the crit, and therefore it's over. So, absolutely winnable game. 100% winnable game, especially since he got the Predict right of the HP Electric on the Mantine. That was probably the only thing stopping it, like the Fat Core in Sun and Moon of like Mantine, Zapdos, Skarmory, which did not exist in Oras because Mantine did not get the defog. But yeah, like the thing about fighting is you have to play extremely aggro, and it is a niche pick. It's to stop those few top tiers that lose to it, such as normal and sort of kind of dark. But other than that, there's no use in using fighting in the meta unless it's your favorite typing or you just want to flex on people. But yeah, that's all I have for today. I don't know if that was too long or not, but oh well. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what type I should do next. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.